Hi, I'm Joe Kenneally. I'm the guy who gets to follow Jack Hinterman as Secretary General of the International College of Dentists. I've known Jack since about 1992 when he was a candidate for president-elect of the American Dental Association, and I was a voting delegate. I think I was president of the Maine Dental Association at the time. Fast forward a few years to 1998 after I had served on the ADA board, and I started getting to see Jack from time to time at the meetings of the past officers and trustees during the ADA meetings. And that was an event that generally they got together, they would roast whoever the newest members were. They would take $20 from each of them, actually to buy memorial flowers or that sort of thing when one of the past officers or trustees passed on, believe it or not. And then mostly they'd stand around and tell dirty jokes. You know, I never heard Jack Hinterman tell one of those off-color stories. He was just a nice Midwestern guy, somebody you could have a decent conversation with, so I'd often try to sit at his table. Fast forward a few more years, Jack and I began serving the International College of Dentists International Council the same year. I went on as a young counselor at age 50 that year, and Jack actually, this was the first time he stepped up to fill an ICD void. Our editor, Richard A. Smith of Georgia, not to be confused with Richard M. Smith, the president-elect currently, but Richard A. Smith resigned suddenly, and Jack was willing to hop in at a very short notice and take over production of the Globe and the communications plan, such as it was at the time. I think at the time it was publish the Globe once a year and then mail it physically all over the world. And, we had to maintain some sort of website, and we had some staff doing a lot of that, and a volunteer webmaster who, if I recall correctly, probably was me. But, while he was editor, Jack added the College Today, which is our electronic newsletter, and he developed a system for media documents and press releases, too, which we hadn't had before. And then we had another big void a few years later when Terry Hoffeld, our Secretary General at the time, resigned towards the end of an executive committee meeting, I think in maybe March of that year. Well, Jack, of course, as the editor, he's sitting there at the executive committee table, and he puts his hand up and he volunteers that he could take over as Secretary General. They thought so highly of Jack at that time, they didn't even convene a search committee. I think they hired him on the spot, and by another month he was actually serving as Secretary General without much in the way of orientation or training or anything like that. And I think probably that executive committee held him in higher esteem than the current one holds me, since the first thing they did when I said I wanted the job was convene a worldwide search committee. But very little of what I see and do in my new position existed before Jack Hinterman began his service. The logo, the College Today, the Global Visionary Fund, the Digital Globe, ICD in Africa, the Dental Safety Program, the Get Smart About Antibiotics Program, ICD Online, QuickBooks, QuickBase. All the things that Chelsea and I and my staff are going to be using to manage the college now all exist because Jack Hinterman put these things into place while he was Secretary General. I could probably fit one of these size 9s on my foot and fit it into one of Jack's size 12s, but you talk about big shoes to fill. Of course, I've always been more about attitude than altitude, but Jack, I wish you well and hope you have a great retirement, and I salute you. You're going to be a tough act to follow. Take care.